Hi everyone, welcome to episode 4 of Talking Business here on the Pardo's Business YouTube channel. We're going international today with a sports focus, chatting to Rob. Let's get straight into it. Here we go, here's Rob. Hi everyone, then we got Rob here as we said we would. Hello Rob, good morning from me, good afternoon to you I think, how are you?
Aye, most definitely. Good afternoon. I'm good, man. Good yourself?
Super, very well, good to see you.
Yeah.
Where are
Yeah,
you?
likewise.
Obviously at home, but whereabouts in the world are you?
I'm in Ho Chi Minh City, Vietnam right now at 4:15 in the afternoon, my time. So 10 in the morning, I believe, your time.
That's it,
Yeah.
yes it is.
Mm.
And you're not from Vietnam though, I don't think. Where are you from?
Well, I'm from Hull itself, so it's a long way from home to be out here.
Oh, fantastic. All right.
Long way.
And what do you do for a living there then, Rob?
So I'm head of PE at an international school in Ho Chi Minh City itself, and I run a basketball academy for high standard, high ability basketball players, male and female, in a variety of age groups.
Marvelous. Is that what the top you're wearing is?
Yeah, we've got Saigon Gators if you want to find us on Instagram, YouTube, like, subscribe.
Marvelous. So we just search for Saigon Gators and we'll find them. That sounds cool.
Oh, you find everything on their Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, you name it.
Marvelous. Are they back playing at the moment? Are sports going on over there?
Yes, we've got a game tonight. A game against Next Level Academy, run by Stefan Nguyen in the city. He's a pro player, plays for the Vietnam national team. So it'll be a high quality game. The highlights will be on YouTube tomorrow.
Fantastic. Yeah, well, we'll link them up then in this. Yeah, that's marvelous. Cool. So I've got you on today then because we were going to talk about sports. That's your area of expertise. And we've chatted personally a few times about what's going to happen with sports, and it kind of brought up a few interesting conversations. The sports. You follow a variety of sports. I'm an American football kind of guy. I know basketball is your first love. Obviously, the NBA was one of the first ones, if I remember correctly, in America to shut down to officially say that we're not playing any games for the time being. So what's going on with that now then, both in terms of what happens to like this season, where do you see going in the future or in the next few weeks, months, and years? What's the score with the NBA then over in the States?
Well, the NBA is in a unique position. The owners are all incredibly rich, so they can afford to maintain their payrolls. The TV rights deals will continue to be paid through. And if anything, I see it being treated like the previous seasons where you've had a lockout where you may end up next season being shorter in the run-up to the Olympic Games that have been postponed. They do have to have the season finished, though. And I don't think the owners and the teams will come to an agreement as to how they can do that. Because you've got teams that are on the periphery of getting into the playoffs that stand to make a fair bit of money and have players coming back from injury that they wouldn't have had.
Yeah.
So if you look at the Brooklyn Nets, for example, they'd sold all their season tickets on the back of Kevin Durant and Kyrie Irving.
Yeah.
Well, Kevin Durant is as good as fit now. If you can bring him in, you're plugging in one of the best players to probably play the game.
Yeah.
As an 8th seed. So if you're the number 1 seed Milwaukee Bucks, maybe you don't want any smoke with that at that point. Yeah. It's going to be an interesting way they do it because no one's going to be pleased by it. You won't please everybody.
And how does that work as well? Because I've been following like the American football version of it, and obviously different states now in America are doing their own thing. California being very strict with it all. The governor saying, kind of being a bit coy about when professional sports will return, but also saying not kind of on the books at the moment. And there's rumours about teams playing games in other states. Is that a basketball thing as well?
I imagine they'll do it. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen uniform across the 4 major sports over there. They need to get something back on TV. It'll be the TV broadcasters that are putting pressure on the leagues to get things going on. But the players themselves will obviously want to finish their seasons, but there's going to be pressure coming from more of a financial aspect than an actual playing point of view. Yeah,
that's right. Because TV deals, I mean, it just kind of rolls off the tongue. But we're talking billions and billions of dollars, aren't we? That's just one spot. I know the NFL is in terms of billions of dollars for what goes on the networks over there, and I presume basketball's the same. So we're not talking small change here, are we?
Oh, no, we're talking mega money on it. The latest TV deal for the NBA boosted average player salaries to earning more in a year than someone like Michael Jordan made in their career.
Wow.
Just from playing basketball. So someone like an Ivica Zubac taking over Michael Jordan's career salary.
Wow.
That puts into context just how much TV money we're talking.
Yeah, especially with all the hype now with The Last Dance, and now everybody who didn't, if there was anybody who didn't know who Jordan was, now you do know. You can throw out names that now, in terms of the money and the crazy deals that are out there in terms of finance. That's really interesting.
Well, yeah, look at Scottie Pippen's deal for that. That says it all. Scottie Pippen earned as little as he did over that 7 years.
Yeah.
Brought it out into what the average player can earn now.
That's
he's not getting value for money.
Yeah, that's absolutely amazing. Then comes the issue of, okay, so how do you make that money back? Well, you make it back from TV, but you're not on TV. So obviously, a bit of an issue we got there. A bit of an issue. So, is there a program? Is there a pro game over there in Vietnam? Then is that what your team's playing in? Is obviously it's not.
There is a program
recognition, but
there is a pro game. The VB, so it's Vietnam Basketball Association, for kind of the equivalent of the Vietnamese NBA. The draft was just this week. For the first time, they've drafted some players out of high school that play in competition alongside with my players as well, which it's great for the game. It's growing. The salaries aren't great, but the platform's there now to build something for the generation and next generation and so on and so on. The game it's got a bright future here. With that. And on TV, viewing figures are fantastic.
Yeah. Has that just come on the last few years, or has this been kind of bubbling under for a long time, or what's the kind of score with that? Has that happened?
I think it's been bubbling for a while. I just think that now you've got this mixed gene pool that they've never had before. You have a lot of the Vietnamese American children coming back home essentially and wanting to play. Yeah. And they've come with that high level coaching that they've had in the States all the way through their teens. They've played at high school, gone to college, and then they come over here and they can ball out. It's at the right level for them. Yeah. Against the right level of competition, just the things they couldn't get back home or back in the States in that sense. Yeah. Oh. And now it's feeding through. The high school kids are playing with them, and they're getting better and better and better. And 5-10 years time, you're going to see a Vietnamese player pushing somewhere at least at a good level.
And those players have got the passion, obviously, to play, and they're doing it for the love of the game and all those kind of things.
Yeah. They're not taking good money. The average salary, I believe, is about 5 million dong. So if you say 3 million dong is £100. Right. So average monthly salary is about 5 million for a player.
Wow. Yeah.
So they're not making good money.
Yeah. Wow.
It's not a good career choice in that sense.
Yeah. And that's the professional game as well, isn't it? If you run things as professional and then compare along those lines. Then obviously that's a very low salary. What's your take on kind of international sports then? We mentioned, we were chatting about the Olympics, obviously the Euro, European
football
championships is what's going to happen. Where does that go from here? I mean, does that get hold in just one country now, safe, or where do you kind of see that kind of thing?
I think it's been very hard for them to plan for the Euros, in all honesty, because you're going to have so many different situations in different countries with different situations. I mean, just at the UK, for example, right now, it's not handled the crisis very well. Looking across overseas, Spain, France, Italy, who knows what's going to happen with second waves and so on with that. Yeah. I think they're going to find it very hard to plan for, because you've got the bigger problems of settling the domestic leagues first. And that's either going to get settled as it should do, every game played, which seems unlikely, or it's going to get settled in a courtroom, and that's going to drag it out for a long, long time. Disputes about relegation, promotion, just with the amount of money involved, it's going to get settled. It's just how it gets settled is beyond, I think, most people's actual comprehension right now. Yeah. Everyone has an opinion on it. Some people want it just end the league now, points per game basis. Yeah. Promotion, relegation decided from that. Yeah. But when you're talking TV again, comes back to TV money. It all comes back to TV money. This, you get relegated out of the Premier League, you're throwing away about 100 million.
Jeez.
Owners just don't have that lying around. Particularly the likes of Aston Villa, and West Ham. Yeah. You've got mega bucks players being paid a lot of money. Yeah. And their contracts are still valid the moment they get relegated, because some of them teams didn't expect to go down.
Yeah. So they
have clauses in there.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, and on the basic level, for those people who don't know, the Premier League, obviously, a couple of teams come up, a couple of teams go down. When you go into that Premier League, that's where the money, which comes from Sky, I believe, is where a lot of the funds come from. And obviously, Sky, there's nothing on TV at the moment in terms of news. But you are, when you as a business side, you plan for that. You know you're getting an extra £100 million a year. You plan for that, and then you don't get it. Because maybe you didn't even get the chance to prove that you were worth it, for half of a year. But you're right, in terms of when that gets legal, And where do you go? And do you just write it off for how it's about fair to other teams who could have a chance to go up and earn that? That's kind of crazy. So, are you following the English football kind of situation much over there?
To be honest, most of the TV money for the Premier League comes from overseas anyway. Right. Around this particular area of the world, the majority of the funding does come from the TV companies around this area, so Southeast Asia, where football is essentially a religion. Right. Every Vietnamese person has a Premier League football team. You'll see people in fake Leicester City kits, Man City kits, West Ham, Everton, just teams you just don't even see back home.
Wow.
They'll be wearing, they'll know all the players. If you look at the Leicester City strip, they're sponsored by Beer Saigon, a Vietnamese beer. Yeah, in that sense. So that's how much they're invested into it.
How interesting.
That's how invested.
Yeah. And then obviously
even they've got an interest.
Yeah, and then in terms of spectator sports as well, the idea that you travel to these games, you attend these games, support these teams and these players your whole life, and now you have to sit at home and watch them on TV. What kind of impact do you think we're going to see in terms of the live events? I've heard about these being behind closed doors. Have you had a chance to watch any of these kind of silent games? I know Germany's done a few.
Yeah. I saw some of the Bundesliga last week, and to be honest, I turned it off pretty quickly. It's not quite the same thing. It's not the same thing. It's like watching wrestling without a crowd. It's not the same thing. Yeah. You want to be there and support your team, don't you? Yeah. But at the Premier League level, I can't get the feeling that's almost irrelevant to the clubs and to the owners, because they're not relying upon their season ticket sales. They're not relying just on match day revenue. Yeah. Go further on the football pyramid. You've got clubs that are living essentially paycheck to paycheck right now. That rely on them season ticket sales, them walk-on ticket sales, the revenues from match day food sales, and they're not having them, and that's having a knock-on effect on their players. Because that level, they're maybe earning £2,000-3,000 a month down at League Two. They've got mortgages, kids, and so on to deal with, and they can't pay them. I think if it carries on for a lot longer, you're going to find clubs going to the wall, and that's going to be communities destroyed in terms of employment and engagement with the sport. A lot of history that's just broken overnight.
And every year or so, I mean, because I don't really follow English football much, but I look at the business and things every now and again. And every year or so, there's a smaller club that has that community impact disappears simply because they just can't fund it, and that's before all this happened. I'm sure there was one Torquay, something like that, that disappeared. I say disappeared casually, but once you take that team, the cultural impact on that little town and village is crazy. But we're not talking about one town here or there, are we now?
No, we're talking a lot of teams, and that's before you even get out of the football league and go into the Conference North, Conference South, and again the really small teams that are reliant on that match day revenue to keep going. You can link that back to rugby league in the UK. It's incredibly reliant on its 6,000-7,000 season ticket holders at most teams to pay the wages of the players. That you have a salary cap of about 1.2 million, and nearly every team will spend up to it. And TV money is not great. Maybe make up half of it, so about 500k of it. The rest of it's got to come from your match their revenue.
And find merchandise.
Got to come from your sponsors. And it's the sponsors who are, and season ticket holders as well. You've got to think they've surely got legal recourse on this to turn around and say, I've paid for 18 games this season. You've only supplied me with 7. So I want 11 games worth pro rata back of the £400 I've spent. And you do that en masse.
And not all those sponsors are made of money, especially in this time, with revenues falling for them, they're going to probably cut their costs if they can, and why throw it away at something that's not been seen and developing their business. So, I mean, you spoke earlier about the basketball side of things and how great teams like the Gators are helping to develop the amateur game, getting those amateur athletes with the passion to go further and long term, maybe go abroad with it. That's great, but you've still got that progression there, because that's a massive cultural thing for communities that they've got something to hope for. Is that going to disappear then if you think like, well, we haven't got a basketball season, so why are kids still playing in the streets? All these academies over in England. What's your kind of take on the amateur side of things, those people trying to move up?
Well, I think in terms of academies in England, most of them aren't classed as amateur anymore anyway. You've got kids that are signed to deals that they probably shouldn't be signed to and being moved out of certain postcodes that they're not allowed to be moved out of. So I think that's going to remain the same. The top clubs are always going to put their money in that, and whatever comes of it works. I mean, if it works for them, they sell one kid, it pays for the academy for the next 10 years.
Yeah.
In that sense, so they'll be fine. In terms of grassroots, I can imagine it actually increasing participation. To be honest, if you think about it, football's as good as free to play. You only one football between X amount of you, depending what you're having for a kick around. You know, people have got more time right now under a lockdown than they've ever had. I can imagine exercise figures, just general exercise figures, probably higher than what they would be.
Yeah.
In that sense, it's a free pastime. So I think imagine the amateur stuff's going up a lot. The pro game's going to have a bit of a decline. Yeah. I think you're going to make up for that with those people who are watching it potentially picking up and going, actually, I fancy playing Masters football for a bit, or I'm going to take up golf.
Yeah.
And go for 18 holes of social distancing.
Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
That kind of, I imagine that going up. And kids are always going to play sport.
Yeah.
We've got parents who've got less money coming in, hopefully they'll be less inclined to buying video games.
Yeah.
Buy V-Bucks on Fortnite and get them out playing sport.
Yeah. Yeah. Because, and again, when you're locked down, you know, Xbox is great, PlayStation is great and all that, but all day, every day, you know, maybe
it wears off, doesn't it?
Yeah.
That novelty wears off.
Yes.
And getting them out and about, and you're coming into summer in the UK now, you know, your traditional summer sports that you would have played, your cricket, your tennis, they'll struggle. They will struggle. Because they're very much seasonal businesses, particularly tennis clubs and so on, and cricket clubs. But at the grassroots level, you are gonna find an increase in certain sports, particularly sports you can play by yourself.
Yeah. And that'd be great to see. What a nice kind of opportunity that comes from it. You know, I've seen this in a couple of other videos. You know, you often only hear the negative stuff that comes out. You know, I'm not going to go too much down the media conspiracy route, but you often only hear the negative stories, and the positive ones normally come through on the mainstream. So it's nice that, you know, real people like you can kind of spread that with.
Yeah, I've seen it firsthand, to be honest, Paul. If you go with my Gators players, I got them back 2 weeks ago. I haven't seen them in 6 weeks, 6 to 8 weeks, because of our lockdown over here. And they've come back with better ball handling skills than when they left. Really? I've done no coaching in that time because they've had the time to just grab a ball, not be distracted by anything else, and actually put the grind in and get the handles going.
Yeah,
they've come back as tight as prepare, and they've enjoyed themselves. With it. And again, that's happening across sports. Great.
Yeah, and is that because they haven't had the distractions as well, normal kind of daily routine distractions and things like that, but they can just go, oh, well, I like playing sport. I'm going to play sport.
Well, shopping malls are shut, cinemas are shut. There were bars, clubs, pubs, whatever. They were, all you had, it was me, myself, and a ball in that sense for them.
So you might as well go play.
And then come back with an incredibly sharpened toolkit. New moves that I haven't had to teach them, which is great for their own development and it's great for raising the standard of the sport.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
That's happening across the world. Jeez, there could be some great positive benefits to this.
Yeah. So is that kind of a focus then? Kind of last question here. Is that kind of a focus that you think maybe should be put on now, or is it better just kind of leaving it alone and just let people do their thing? Like you said, you had no organisation here. You just kids played. Is that something do you think that can happen worldwide? Just let kids play.
Just let them go. Just let them play. There's too much structure in sport, if anything, and creativity gets just beaten out of children from a young age with it. And it's the same in teaching as well. We both know that, both as teachers, that you taught sometimes just to pass the test and get a high grade. But can you do anything with it afterwards? Maybe not. The same with sport. They've got an opportunity now where there's no coach shouting them back, bawling at them, if they're treating it like it's the World Cup final, where they can just go out and find and create moves that just benefit them and they get enjoyment out of.
Yeah, and how fantastic!
So much opportunity out there.
Yeah, and how great then is that for developing other things, for raising the spirit of the community, or sorting out mental health.
For sure.
That is often undermined in terms of the importance of sports. But I imagine these kids have been happier from doing that. Have you seen this go? Were your kids mentally adjusted when they came back?
Oh yeah, for sure. They had a lot of online learning through school-wise as well. Yeah. All that through the daily webinars. They essentially went through a whole school day timetable online every day during the lockdown. So even the PE lessons and so on. So they didn't feel as isolated. Yeah. But some of them hadn't left their homes from January until this month till May.
Wow.
They'd been locked in their own home. So if they were doing ball handling and that, they were in the bedroom bouncing the ball.
Wow.
Which says how dedicated they were.
Amazing.
In that sense.
So what would you do then, as we start to wrap things up here, what would you say then would be your top advice to people who still want to play sports or have a career in sports, maybe not from a playing side, but whether it's coaching, therapy, whatever. What would you say would be your main advice to people who are still thinking, I want to spend my life in sports?
You got to find that one thing you're passionate about. When it was with this basketball, like for me in my academy with Saigon Gators, it's not a job. Not a single day where that feels like work. I'll work a full working week, and yet I'll still find time to do 2-3 hours coaching on an evening. Spend my entire weekend away in a 35-degree Celsius gym with no air conditioning, dripping wet with sweat, and it's not work. It's a passion. You got to find that, and you can say that for anything with your life, can't you? Really, you find something you truly love. You genuinely. It's cliche, and you've never worked a day in your life.
True. Yeah.
It's completely true. In terms of sport, with that, there's just so many pathways you can go down. You can love sport, be absolutely trash at it, and go into sports business.
Yeah.
You don't have to be an athlete and do it. You can still work with players. Be around pro players all day and become an agent.
Yeah.
And probably earn more money than most women players anyway.
Yeah.
Taking commission off the top. Physios. Great, you're around pro athletes all day if that's the case you want, if that's the path you go down.
Yeah.
Find it what you're passionate about and go do it.
Love it.
So that's all I do with this, and it's why I'll be in that gym tonight. And I'm not kidding when I say it'll be 35 degrees Celsius, humidity in the 80s in terms of percentage, and it will not feel a second like it's work.
Yeah, because of your passion for it.
Yeah, well, it's my passion for the sport, but it's my passion for them kids getting the opportunities that I had and going further the opportunities I didn't have.
Yeah.
In that sense, and that's what it's meant to be about.
Yeah.
And the fact we've seen players go and turn pro this week that are going to come back and play high school basketball next year, and players that I've had some passing involvement with, it's great. And that's the reward for it. Yeah. When kids are getting scholarship offers to go overseas from this country, and it's on a basketball scholarship, and you've had a big part in that, that's fantastic.
That's brilliant.
That's not work.
No. I can feel your passion from here. We might be thousands of miles away, but you've always been a passionate guy with regards to that, and that seems to be even more present now. The impact you're having is just on such a high level. So nice one, and thanks for being so positive with everything, and doing what you can for those students over there whose lives are literally changing. And again, that's easy. Your life changes if you play sport and all that. But
but it's true.
You're seeing it.
So true.
Yeah. You're seeing it. You're helping to make it happen.
You hear all them rags to riches stories, don't you? Particularly in American sport. They love that narrative in American sport. But as much as it is a narrative, it's true though.
Yeah.
It does change their life. It's not even the ones who always go pro. I'm thinking back to some of my current players that might not be that good.
Yeah.
But just the way they've changed their personalities and they're more confident in the way they carry themselves. Yeah. That's the reward, isn't it? When you can see them transfer it to something else in their life, and you're like, okay, you learned that here. Yeah, that's the best bit.
How amazing is that? Well, listen, Rob, thank you so much for today. I really appreciate it. Do you want to give a little shout out for the Saigon Gators? Anybody you want to say?
Yeah, sure.
Handles and things like that, so we can have a little look at them.
Well, I'll tell you what, I'm going to shout out one of my players because he graduates next week. He's going over to the UK to play at King's College London, and hopefully he should come back and enter the 2021 Vietnam Basketball Association draft. So check out at Kai Pham. So I'll get Danny put it in the description. Fantastic player. His highlight reel needs to be seen by coaches worldwide because he's got skills, he's got talent. The only thing he's not got, he's got on the radar of the right people. Once it's in the right lap of the right people, he's going to blow up. Big time. So I'm going to shout out my own thing. I'm going to shout him out.
Marvellous. That is great. Thank you, Rob. I really appreciate it. I suppose we could have spoken for hours here, but you got a basketball.
Oh, we could.
To go coach.
True that.
Cool. Well, all right. Same time again tomorrow. Then we'll do an hour. But no, thanks so much, mate. I really, really appreciate it, and thanks for your activity. I hope that kind of spreads out there, away from just where you are. So, cheers.
No, I appreciate you having me on.
I'll see you again.
All
right. See you later, Rob. Thank you.
Cheers. See you in a bit. Thank you.
Bye. Well, thank you very much, Rob, for taking the time to chat with me today. I really appreciate it. And what a fascinating insight into the international world of professional and amateur sports. Thanks again, and thank you all for watching. We'll see you again on the next episode of Talking Business.